Hello and welcome to Maverick Mastery episode 15. In this series, we go through certain question types that come in CAT VARC, and I solve 5 questions and I give you 5 questions to solve at your end. So, and the answers for those questions are present in the description box below. Let's start with this episode. Foreign settlers can bring enormous benefits to their host country. We talk of invasive species, those which are not native to a habitat and damage it once they are introduced, as though they are aggressive, hostile agents out to attack us. So 1 and 2 talk of diametrically opposite ideas. 1 talks of foreign settlers bringing benefits. 2 talks of invasive species which are not native to a habitat and damage it once they are introduced, as though they are aggressive, hostile agents out to attack us. So they are negative, they are positive. Statement 3. Not all new arrivals are dangerous, however. Okay, so this seems like a switch over from negativity to positivity. This seems like a switch from negativity to positivity. The most common honeybee in America is an immigrant from Italy and has proved invaluable to the country's food chain. Okay, 4 seems like something that can come after 3 or something that can come after 1, because this is again positive. After 1, it would be an example. After 3, it would be advancing that point. Point 5. Nevertheless, some new arrivals, such as the European starling or Asian carp, do become pests. Okay. So right now, I can see statement 2 and statement 5 highlight the negativity. Statement 2 and statement 5 highlight the negativity of invasive species. In fact, I can very confidently say 2 is the introductory statement. After I remove 1 statement, the remaining 4, 2 will be the introductory statement, because this is where the term invasive species has been introduced. They have been defined, those who are not native to a habitat. So 2 is the introductory statement. After that, what should come? See, I have a contradiction word present here. I have a contradiction word present here. Okay. And I want to say 2 is the introduction, followed by 3, followed by 1, followed by 4. This seems like a valid arrangement. Let me read. We talk of invasive species which are not native to a habitat and damage it once they are introduced, as though they are aggressive, hostile agents out to attack us. Not all new arrivals are dangerous, however. Foreign settlers can bring enormous benefits to their host country. The most common honeybee in America is an immigrant from Italy and has proved invaluable to the country's food chain. Absolutely. This order makes sense. The odd one out here will be 5. But then, if I take out 2, then 3 will not have a space to come. The challenge with statement 5 is the presence of this nevertheless itself. Challenge of this statement 5 is nevertheless itself. Perhaps what we can have is, if I went, see, 3 without 2 does not make sense. So 2, 3 has to be a pair. 1, 4 has to be a pair. In fact, I would also venture out to say 1, 4, 5 could be a pair. Foreign settlers can bring enormous benefits to the host country. The most common honeybee in America is an immigrant from Italy and has proved invaluable to the country's food chain. Nevertheless, some new arrivals, such as European starling or Asian carp, do become pests. So 1, 4, 5 could be an arrangement as well. But given that 2, 3 is a pair, 1, 4 is a pair, 1, 4, 5 can potentially be a pair, but 2, 3, 1, 4 makes the other 4 sentences are beautifully rearranged here. The answer to this question has to be statement 5. Okay. Next question. Impelled by the same spirit of quest, the Pilgrim Fathers had started from Europe in the Mayflower. Okay. So given that statement 1 talks of by the same spirit of quest, there has to be some quest mentioned earlier. The climax in the story of the moving American came on the day 2 Americans landed on the moon. This could be the quest being referenced in 1. The movement of the American colonists to the west of the continent is one of the major episodes of American history. Their children soon left the seaport towns of the East and struck out on their own and went to conquer the continent. 3 followed by 4 would make sense. See. And went to conquer the continent. They left the seaport towns of East and went to conquer the continent. And then the movement of the American colonies to the west of the continent. From East, they're moving to West. Would make sense. Jamestown was one of the several established settlements in Virginia by the winter of 1620. Okay, I see this. I also have this reference, Pilgrim Fathers and their children. They also make a link. So 2, 1, 4, 3. This is identical. No, 2, 3, 1, 4. But 2, 1, 4, 3 here. And 5 again is the odd one out here. Here it is perhaps easier to claim 5 is the odd one out because what is Jamestown in reference to, or where is Virginia? Is it in the east? Is it in the west? The timeline of 1620, none of it has any link with any portion of the paragraph. 2, 1, 4, 3 is sensible. The climax in the story of the moving American came on the day 2 Americans landed on the moon. Impelled by the same spirit of quest, the Pilgrim Fathers had started from Europe in the Mayflower. Their children soon left the seaport towns of the east and struck out on their own and went to conquer the continent. The movement of the American colonists to the west of the continent is one of the major episodes of American history. 2, 1, 4, 3 is an absolute wonderful order. 5 is the odd one. Next. The recent developments in Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh showed peculiar twists in the working of the political parties inside the legislatures. Till recently, the constitution did not mention their role even once. So when this says did not mention their role even once, there would be a character introduced earlier. And as such, the yardsticks adopted by the governors were based on different concepts. The point was well illustrated in the case of Bengal, where the Telugu Desam party was caught in a queer crisis. It became hard for the governors to cope with them within the existential constitutional framework. The situation changed when the constitution was amended with the enactment of the anti-defection law. Okay. See, here, 1 seems like an introduction. 1 is the absolute introduction. No problem at all. And then where do I go? The recent developments in Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh showed peculiar twist in working of political parties inside the legislatures. Now, this talks of governors. Two followed by 5 makes sense. Till recently, the constitution did not mention their role even once, and as such, the yardsticks adopted by the governors were based on different concepts. They were utilizing their best judgment. The situation changed when the constitution was amended with the enactment of the anti-defection law. Now they are no longer using different concepts. They are going by the letter of the law. So 2, 5 should be a pair. Now 2 mentions their role. So who would be their referenced here? Most likely the governors, which means the statement 4 has to come prior to 2, somewhere prior to 2. So 1, 4, 2, 5 would be the order, and 3 would be the odd one out. Let's read 1, 4, 2, 5. The recent developments in Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh showed peculiar twists in the working of political parties inside the legislatures. It became hard for the governors to cope with them within the existing constitutional framework. Till recently, the constitution did not mention their role even once, and as such, the yardsticks adopted by the governors were based on different concepts. The situation changed when the constitution was amended with the enactment of the anti-defection. Absolutely wonderful. 3 has to be the odd one. Okay, next. Whoever started it, the culture wars look set to continue for a while yet. The problem is that specific issues are seldom discussed on their merits, but packaged together into ideological job lots to establish clear moral battle lines. More troublingly, the politics of a culture war are febrile and unstable, with the potential to inspire fundamental bigotries leading to even greater and more damaging divisions. With their preference for gesture over action, they don't cost very much to participating if you discount hurt feelings and require no great expertise or experience. You can get offended over anything. Doubtless within them are worthy and perhaps essential debates, along with the familiar vices of name calling, point scoring, and virtue signaling. Okay. See, again, one seems like the introduction statement. This is where culture wars get introduced per se. And there, 4 seems like a good follow-up statement with their preference for gesture over action. Culture wars preference for gesture over action. They don't cost very much to participate in if you discount hurt feelings and require no great expertise or experience. 1, 4 make a wonderful pair. They stay there. And followed by 5 also makes sense. Doubtless within them are worthy and perhaps essential debates, along with the familiar vices of name calling, point scoring, and virtue signaling. So culture wars also contain some important issues, but then there is a lot of name calling, there is a lot of whataboutism involved in culture or debates. So now we are left with whether 3 would come or 2 would come. See, 5 is mentioning these problems, point scoring, virtue signaling. The problem is that specific issues are seldom discussed on their merits. There are issues within them that are worthy and perhaps essential debates. The problem is that specific issues are seldom discussed on their merits, but packaged together into ideological job lots to establish clear moral battle lines. 1, 4, 5, 2. 1, 4, 5, 2 would make sense. More troublingly, the politics of a culture war are febrile and unstable. I don't know the meaning of the word febrile, but I'm guessing it is something aligned with unstable. The politics of culture war are unstable, with the potential to inspire fundamental bigotries leading to even greater and more damaging divisions. Okay. I would say 1, 4, 5, 2 makes sense and 3 goes out because 1, 4, 5, 2 makes sense. But then if I had to particularly point out the trouble with 3 is culture war, it has a additional political angle involved to it, the politics of culture war. And here it talks to leading to ever greater and more damaging divisions. No, that is also ever greater and more damaging divisions. Ideally, it should have some reference of divisions that have already taken place. It should have referred to some divisions that have already been caused by culture wars beforehand for this statement to come through. But then this statement can come through without any other statement as well. Okay. But 2, 5 is as in 5, 2. 5, 2 is an essential pair. 1, 4 is an essential pair. So 3 by extension has to be the odd one. Okay. Last question. Yet overall, the nations of former Turkish and Byzantine southeastern Europe suffered in their communist regimes nothing less than a version of Oriental despotism. During the monochrome decades of communist domination, Balkan countries such as Romania and Bulgaria did, in fact, suffer a degree of poverty and repression unknown to the northern Central European half of the Soviet Empire. Okay. The situation was complicated, of course. 3, I like the statement 3 because it has very few words. East Germany was most truly occupied of the satellite states, and consequently its communist system was among the most rigid. Even as Yugoslavia allowed a degree of freedom, particularly in its cities, that was unknown in Czechoslovakia, for example. Okay. The Balkans were synonymous with the old Turkish and Byzantine empires, with unruly mountain ranges that hindered development and with a generally lower standard of living going back decades and centuries. Okay. 5 has to come before 2. 5 has to come before 2, as in not necessarily immediately before 2, but 5 has to come before 2 because it says it gives something, it gives some piece of information and states it is related to things that are going back decades and centuries. And then there is a statement of during the monochrome decades of communist domination. So 5 has to be before 2. This much I can infer. 1 seems odd to me because here we are talking of communism, we are talking of the situation not being great and everything. And here we are also talking of Oriental despotism. In my head, Oriental despotism would mean, see, Oriental refers to Southeast Asia or Orient, that portion is told of. Oriental despotism in reference to Turkish, Byzantine Empire, or Romania, or whatever other countries are mentioned. I don't know how that fits in, but okay. 5 and 2, I can see linked. Okay. 3 and 4 also I can see linked. 3 and 4 are linked. 3 says the situation was complicated, of course. And East Germany was the truly most occupied of the, as in, why was it complicated? The description of why was it complicated, how was it complicated, comes through in statement 4. East Germany was most truly occupied of the satellite states, and consequently, its communist system was among the most rigid. Even as Yugoslavia allowed a degree of freedom, particularly in its cities, that was unknown in Czechoslovakia, for example. Okay. 5 and 2 are linked, 3 and 4 are linked, and then my own personal bias is getting verified. 1 will be the odd one out with the order of the statements in 5, 2, 3, 4. Let me read it in this order. The Balkans were synonymous with the old Turkish and Byzantine empires, with unruly mountain ranges that hindered development and with a generally lower standard of living going back decades and centuries. During the monochrome decades of communist domination, Balkan countries such as Romania and Bulgaria, Balkan is also linked, did in fact suffer a degree of poverty and repression unknown to the northern central European half of the Soviet Empire. Okay, the situation was complicated, of course. East Germany was the most truly occupied of the satellite states, and consequently, its communist system was among the most rigid. Even as Yugoslavia allowed a degree of freedom, particularly in the cities, that was unknown in Czechoslovakia, for example. Yet, overall, the nations of former Turkish and Byzantine Southeastern Europe suffered in their communist regimes nothing less than a version of Oriental despotism. I can't link 1 anywhere. The odd one out has to be 1. And then 5, 2, 3, 4 will be the order of the statements here. Those are the 5 questions that I was supposed to solve. Answers that I'm reaching at 5, 5, 3, 3, and 1. 5, 5, 3, 3, and 1. Hopefully, they made sense to you. Understand the game of parajumbles, the game of odd one out is. You will never ever reach 100% accuracy in these areas. Never ever reach. Anybody who claims I have 100% accuracy in parajumbles or odd one out is lying. Is making a tall claim without any substance. But what you can do is, let's be quick in solving them. Let's be quick in solving them and read the statements carefully. If you can find links, find your links, mark your answer, move on. Expect around 50 to 60% accuracy here, because beyond that, it is an unrealistic aspiration to have that I will get so many right. Never going to happen. Okay, let us look at the 5 questions that you are supposed to practice. First question. The second question. The third question. The fourth question. And the fifth question. And those are all the questions. What I want you to do is attempt these questions and then reach your answers, whatever reasoning you're using, and then either you can put down your answers in the comment or whatever. You can also check the answers. They are present in the description box below. If there is an answer that you are very confident in, is not matching with the official answer given, and you are very confident in, go ahead and put that down as a comment. We will respond with the reasoning that we are utilizing in order to arrive at our answer. You can perhaps give your reasoning to arrive at the answer, and then we can see whether the battle of wits takes us to a more enlightened state. That will be all for this week's episode. See you again in the next episode next week. Okay, bye.